Develop yourself to develop others. Up to now, we've reviewed 3 attributes: certainty, clarity, and determination. And if you think of them, they have a lot to do with mindset. But today we're going to talk about something that'll put all this into action, which is intensity. That attribute of intensity is very important. In fact, not a lot of people will appreciate it once you get to the top. They'll actually see you and say, wow, they got there, but they won't fall back on, or they won't be observant as to all the intensity it took for you to get there. But nonetheless, it's just as important to develop that attribute, because what you set as the guideline, as the example, is what your organization will do. So if you are working and your intensity is at 100%, your leaders will be at 100%, those who work shoulder to shoulder with you. And then the average specialist will probably do half of that, which means about 50%. And then 5% of that, 10% of that, 5% is what your tourists will do, because there will be people in your organization who are like tourists, just observing the surrounding and enjoying the walk. But now take a look at what happens if your intensity is not 100% and it's rather 60. Well, now your leaders will work at 60. Your average follower or specialist will work at half of that, 30, and 10% of that is 3%. So you see how the percentages have shifted down? And that means your organization is not working at its full potential. And why? Because you lacked the 100% intensity. So it's very important that you have that intensity. In fact, it'll be to your benefit, because think of a car. When does it have its best use of gasoline? It's not in the city where it has to stop and go all the time, because it loses the ability to save on the gas. But if it's in the highway, boy, is it going nonstop, and is it making the best use of gas? With our organizations, it'll be the same. If we're stopping and going, the intensity is not the same, and the way we save and are successful won't be the same either. We won't have the biggest buck or bang for our buck, right? So we need to have intensity. How will we develop it? The SOS School, Simplicity of Soul, will show you a way to, in your first 30, maximum 60 days of starting off with Soul, reaching out to 100 people, and it'll show you a simple method to do it so that you come in with a huge intensity. You know why that's important? Because as you create this great intensity surge in your organization, people that look at you will say, well, what's going on? I want to be a part of that. It's just like a restaurant where you drive by it and there's only 2 cars, and then the one across the street has 20 cars. Where do you think you're going to go? Where there's intensity, where there's more movement. And so a taking off with intensity will create an alertness. People will want to look at you, will create a reason for people to pay attention to you. And the SOS class will help you to do that. Also, as you're getting onto network marketing, if you have your current job, don't be in a rush to leave it. You can develop your network marketing job with your first job without leaving it. In fact, it's sometimes even better to do it that way, because you can show others how they can also do 2 things. It may be a little harder to develop something with such intensity, but it is possible. And it will be more appealing to others if you do it that way. In fact, it'll also help us with attribute number 5, which we will take a look at next time around. So develop intensity, because in life, we need it for so many things, but we definitely need it in an organization where we are setting the pace for others. So develop it and be more successful at developing your team.